Oh, hi, I'm Pastor John. The last time I recorded one of these videos for you, I was reading a book too, and that was a different kind of book. It was a picture book. And this is a book that you might recognize, or at least maybe you've seen one like it. It's called the Bible. And I've had this Bible for a very long time. You can see kind of how the edges are a little worn and things like that. And some of the pages are a little marked up and dirty. But I've had this one for a long time, and today I'm reading a story that comes from a book in the Bible called Mark. It was written by one of the disciples, the people who followed Jesus, and his name was Mark. So it's named after him. Maybe you know somebody named Mark. My brother's middle name is Mark. But in this story, one of the things that Jesus says is something that I think is really, really hard for us to think about. Whoever wants to be first has to be the last of all and the servant of all. Now that's hard for me because sometimes I can remember always wanting to be the very first one chosen. Like when I was a kid and I was going to play a game with other kids at school, and sometimes they would have somebody choose teams. Maybe you've seen that before. Maybe that's been part of what you've done. And I always wanted to be the first one chosen, but it seemed like I was almost always closer to the last one chosen. But you know what? I got to play the game, and I did the best I could. And then there's other times when I've been in a line and I've been waiting and I've been waiting and I've been waiting for something, and then all of a sudden at the last minute, somebody comes and steps in front of me. And I thought to myself, that doesn't seem fair. But one of the things that we can learn from Jesus is that what we think is fair sometimes isn't always the best thing. Sometimes it's good for us to let other people go first. And sometimes, even though we may want somebody else to help us, that sometimes it's best for us to help other people. One of the other disciples that Jesus had with him, who followed him around when he was doing his work in the world, his name was Matthew. And Matthew writes about a story that Jesus tells in which Jesus says, the very best thing that you could possibly do is to help another person. If they're thirsty, to give them something to drink. If they need clothing, to give them something to wear. If they need a place to stay, to invite them or to find them a place to stay. If they're in a difficult place and they don't have anybody to visit with them, that you can go visit them or check in on them. And that when we do that, it's like we're serving Jesus himself. I always liked that story. And it reminds me of this one. Because sometimes we always want to look out for ourselves and we want to do what we think is the best for us. But one of the things Jesus reminds us is that one of the best things we can do is do things for other people. There's another part of this story that I think is really interesting. It says that Jesus took a child and brought the child into the middle of the group and said, whoever welcomes a child welcomes me. Which is kind of like that other story I was talking about, where if we feed or clothe or help another person, we're helping Jesus. And this one says, if you welcome a child, you welcome Jesus. I like that a lot. Do you know why? Because I think that you have as much to teach me as I have to teach you. I really like how it is that children teach me things, especially about welcoming people and especially about helping other people. I think that's really important. Will you pray with me? Dear God, thank you for helping us to see how Jesus wants us to treat one another. Amen.